that with Claude, he's not as trustworthy as you thought he was. And GrapheneOS is as trustworthy as you thought it was, but unfortunately, that might be a problem. Let's talk about the big news story that's kind of sweeping the privacy sector of the internet. So this was reported all the way back in December that a man flying into the Atlanta International Airport was arrested after his phone wiped his entire data because GrapheneOS has a feature known as a duress pin, where once that's entered, it just wipes the phone as it's supposed to, because it indicates that you're under duress and that the person that you're sharing the phone with, you don't want them to have the phone. And so you input your PIN and then it completely wipes it. And the US Department of Justice does not like that. And they are prosecuting him specifically because of the destruction of property intended to prevent government seizure.
Hectic.
So that is a law. That is an outstanding law that you are not allowed to destroy things so that the government can't get their hands on it because it could be used as evidence, etc. But there is, parts of the Constitution apply to illegal search and seizure and all of that kind of stuff. But it now brings into contestation the argument that's been happening with things like Border Patrol and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is whether or not their authority supersedes the Constitution in certain sectors, especially since this was happening at an ingest station of an international airport. Technically, that is not American soil, and so different laws apply at that point. And so CBP officers have different rules and responsibilities than they would on the interior of the country. So if this man who was flying back from the Dominican Republic was already let into the country, it'd be a completely different story, allegedly. But
because it was at the border.
Because it was at the border, according to the court testimonies, because this individual was under suspected terrorism activities. However, there was some detail where the U.S. government kind of said, no, this was a routine stop. So it's not clear exactly. All of these details are now going to get fleshed out in court, and the ruling is expected to be here late October at the earliest. So it's going to be a while of deliberation, but it does have a ton of privacy-focused individuals up in arms about this potentially being a prosecutable offense for you to wipe your phone when that feature is kind of explicitly for that reason. Somebody got access to your phone that you don't want them to have. Now, this happens to be Uncle Sam, and you don't want Uncle Sam's eyes looking at your phone, but there are laws in place against destroying things for that kind of stuff. But then there's also, we have the United States has the Fifth Amendment, which is you have the right to not self-incriminate, all of that kind of stuff. So this is going to bring up a lot of constitutional arguments as well as jurisdictional arguments, and it brings in the tech nerds because GrapheneOS is known as the privacy-focused alternative to Android, and it just now creates some issue going on there. So let us know what you think of this. We're gonna try to keep this as PG politically as we can because, we're not a political show. We are a tech show, and we're just happening to cover this because it